Okay, ready for round two, guys. What's going on, guys? It is Coop88, also known as Steve, and it is 8:44. It is still, 9/31, 2016. So it is still Halloween, or rather, um, not Halloween trick-or-treating time, but Halloween night. So we're moving on, guys. I figured I would do the second bento box, get it out of the way. Which I haven't actually cut it open, but I've seen when I was on vacation because I went to go visit my grandparents in Texas. If you didn't watch the previous bento video, I had skipped a week, so when I came back, I had this, my Doctor Strange Marvel Collector box, and um, my sci-fi nerd block before my break. So let's get into these guys, and I know what this is. It's the theme for this month was called Gnarly 90's. So these are all 90's themed comic books, which has me excited. But I already know, sadly, what all of these books are. I wanted to be surprised, and you'll see Stormy crawling around in the background. Really, Cat? Really? What are you doing? 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 You little turd. You little turd. Yeah. Stormy's just kind of roaming around here. He's trying to figure out what I'm doing, I guess. Either that or he's looking for something to get into. What are you doing, cat? Heck! No. Don't start that while I'm in the middle of a video. You know better. You be good. Keeping an eye, sorry to waste time here, guys, but I was keeping an eye on him because when I don't watch him, he likes to try to dig into the carpet. You're a big baby. You were perfectly fine laying down over there. Now you want to bother me when I'm trying to do something. You're a little jerk. You're a little jerk. You're a little jerk. Yes, you are. Anyway, of course, I saw all these books by now in the Gnarly 90's collection. And I already saw them. I feel bad because I wanted to be surprised because they're all really cool 90's comics. So what I wanted to... I got my eye on you, cat. Yeah, look at that. That is the face of evil. That is the face of evil. Anyway. Oop. Get this readjusted. Yeah, I saw, unfortunately, what all these books were, and I was kind of disappointed. Not because of the selection, but because I wanted to be surprised, because I wanted to see what cool books I would be getting. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy. So we're getting some good ones. And of course, there is a Valiant book in here, which I like, which is actually called the Valiant Masters, which It's very similar to like Marvel's Masterworks. So they have all different kinds of ones that actually are put in this box. So it's essentially a random draw for, like, I guess you could say, like, what is considered like the Marvel Masterworks. Don't do it, cat. Essentially, it's kind of like the Marvel Masterworks, guys. So it's like it's the original 90's printings of all the Valiant characters, like their original runs in the 90's or so. Like they're like essentially before the big reboot that a lot of people that are getting into Valiant know about. That's actually the reboot. These Valiant books that they're putting out, the Valiant Masters, these are kind of like the omnibuses of like the original runs before the reboot. And I got mine, so it's like the original Ninjak, Bloodshot, Shadow Man, and all that. Which, that's actually the first one that I'm going to show you guys. I actually got the Valiant Masters Volume 1. Got the Valiant Masters Volume 1 of Shadow Man. So that's going to be fun going through the original Shadow Man series. Or at least one of the originals. Because I'm curious to see how this will actually go out. And what's funny is this Shadow Man had Steve Englehart, Jim Shooter, Bob Hall, Steve Ditko. Like, these are, yeah, you want to talk about a who's who. So it's like, okay, so Valiant Masters Volume 1 of Shadow Man. So on a random draw, I get one of Valiant's more obscure characters that they didn't really do much with after the reboot. Like, Justin Jordan did a short run with the character, but you don't really see Shadow Man pop up in the Valiant universe, as we know, too often. It's actually a character that if I improved my writing skill and I got noticed by Valiant, that I would like to try to have a turn with. Just because I am kind of a magic and supernatural kind of guy. Which is weird because I'm not a big fantasy guy, but it's like I always kind of like I've always noticed I'm attracted to the more spookier, like, comic book characters. Characters like Ghost Rider and Blade and stuff. Like, I always find those characters' stories just a little bit more interesting to write than, say, like, Spider-Man or Iron Man in them, because I think it's just because you don't really, like, explore that part of their universe too much. Even Doctor Strange, they don't explore too much, which, speaking of the good Doctor, I'm excited to actually read this, which I had actually looked at this trade not too long ago, which was Doctor Strange, The Flight of Bones, which this was actually from Marvel's Marvel Knights run, in which the good Doctor actually plays supernatural detective when a series of bizarre robberies and a series of spontaneous combustions set him on the trail of an old enemy. Magic meets noir in this atmospheric, strange tale. Plus, in stories with standout creators, the master of the mystic arts will make a deal with the devil, duel with demons. Cat, get off my thing. Don't sit there and pout at me. Make a deal with the devil, duel with demons, meet the bottle imp, and face odd reflections of friends, foes, and himself. When he learns of a man's deep grief, the good Doctor will become a healer of a different sort. So this is essentially during the Marvel Knights imprint run that they did in the early 2000s. So this was kind of one of the many standalone Marvel Knights stories that they did with Strange. So I think that that's kind of cool that they at least have a Doctor Strange story that is coming out before the movie, so people can actually be able to read that. On top of the Doctor Strange box, which will probably be the next video. But let's move on, shall we? Now the next one is from Dynamite, guys, and this will collect Greg Pak's run on Turok. So this is, it says Dynamite Gold Key. Oh, that's the name of the storyline. Volume 1 Conquest. So this is Turok. Now most of you are asking, well, okay, why is this kind of a big deal? Anybody who owned an N64 or so will tell you why it's a big deal, because Turok was a big breakout series in the 90's that was, mainly on N64. It was a lot of people mainly remember it from like the N64 and like, the early PlayStations and stuff, before we started going into 2000. It became a very popular like series for, the N64. But it did get, I think, like a couple of other games on like PlayStation and stuff. But Turok was really big in the 90's with people because, I mean, you're playing a Native American warrior who's, fighting dinosaurs. But Turok also kind of fought aliens and a lot of other different oddities, magical beings and stuff. So it's like he was kind of like I guess you could say the all-around like Native American spirit warrior, if that makes sense. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm not going to complain. I'm not the biggest Turok fan, but I will admit I like the fact that they did include Turok into this, because he is actually a video game character that translates very well from the 90's. Or at least I knew him as a video game character. I think he was a comic book or graphic novel character first. Whichever one of those. Somebody can correct me in the comments, but I thought that was cool, and I saved the best for last, and most people will laugh at this, and I've always wanted to actually collect books from this series, which are actually, it's actually kind of funny because I think this was made right around the time of the Jim Carrey movie, or one of the other like movies, the one or two other movies with Jamie Kennedy and whatnot. But The Mask Strikes Back, I've always wanted to collect at least a book in the Mask series, because I hear that it's 10 times more messed up and adulterated than what we got with the Jim Carrey movie. The Mask, Mask was actually one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies as a kid. And it's kind of funny, it took me till years later to actually figure out the balloon animal joke, because it kind of went over my head as a kid, and I think that always worried my mother a little bit, that I would catch on to that, because I am a very perceptive person. But I never caught on to it till years later when I finally found out, when he said, oh yeah, wrong balloon in wrong pocket, and I always thought, okay, haha, he just had like a little, like, rubber band balloon or like a defective balloon. It wasn't a balloon. Let's put it that way. It wasn't a balloon. And then when it finally clicked in my head, it's like, oh, it's like, that was kind of clever. That was like their middle finger moment. But I'm excited to read into this, because like I watched the short-lived 90's cartoon based on the Jim Carrey movie. Like the Jim Carrey movie, I did see the Jamie Kennedy movie sequel, but I didn't like much care for it. I thought that it kind of was stupid, and it took away from the appeal of what made the Jim Carrey movie great. So I'm looking forward to reading this, guys. That's definitely like this batch of books. I thought this was a great choice for a 90's themed, like, book collage. So let me actually put all these back. So pretty good selection here, guys. A pretty good selection of books that are all together. So, I'm digging this, guys. I definitely dig a lot of what's in this particular box. So set this to the side. definitely will have to go through those. So that way, sorry if I'm getting all wide-eyed. It's like still going. I had to go see. I had to go like to the eye doctor today. So like I'm kind of blinking from all the different like my eyes aren't dilated, but it still is like when like you go do your eye test, you're still kind of blinking a little bit. It's kind of what's happening to me. But anyway, I'm rambling on. So okay, guys, that is the Gnarly 90's comic bento box. So that's done. That is out of the way, and let's move on to the next one, shall we? Since I've gone way over time than I should had and rambled on. So see you guys in the next video.